3 months ago, we showed you how to get into the game Star Wars Outer Rim. We had dropped the series for trying out different video ideas and cleaning up the store, but now we're back. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down the recently released Reichbusters Projekt Vril. Let's get started. Now, Reichbusters Projekt Vril is a game that was funded on Kickstarter. Quite successfully, might I add. And it's all about a special task force known as the Reichbusters and their mission to thwart the Nazis' Vril project. A project that involves utilizing the supernatural substance known as Vril in a manner that can help them win the war. From simply upgrading their weaponry to even reanimating corpses and creating absolute monsters. All of which figures look quite amazing. There are expansions that hold even more bizarre stuff, such as aliens, but in this video I'll only be going through the base game. We may cover the expansions later on, but once we all know the base game, I would imagine the expansions would be much easier to follow. Now, the rulebook would take 45 minutes to an hour to break down, so let's try and speed that up in this video. To begin, we need to learn how to properly set up the game. We start with simply choosing a mission, of which there are two types, campaign and raid. Campaign. If you want to work through the story of Reichbusters, the first thing that's got to be decided is the difficulty level, the penalties of which will only be felt once we learn the rest of the game. Next comes the layout of gaming pieces. Begin by using the map components to build the first campaign mission that can be found within the green mission book. Then lay out the rest of the components such as the tokens, cards, and dashboards, like so. Use some of those tokens to fill in the rest of the map. Now it's time to analyze the mission to see what you're working against. First, determine what objective you have to complete and follow its rules. Next, grab the relevant mission trackers and the mission marker. To see what enemies you'll be facing in this mission, look to the mission faction card that matches the book, then pull out the unit cards and the figures that match with what is written. With the enemies sorted, now it's time to choose your team. Begin by choosing heroes that the campaign allocates, or the heroes you like when the campaign allows you to. Doing so by grabbing the respective figures, a player dashboard, a reference card, as well as that character's deck. Once you have the heroes for your team, it's time to select a team name that suits your mission type and gives you the best advantages. Given that this is a stealth mission, it's best to go with Team Falcon. Or for a bit more fun, you can just choose your team name by random. With the team cards set to go, now it's time to hand out the team tokens. For starters, each player receives their respective hero weapons and skills based on the character card. Then the team tokens get distributed in whatever manner you think suits your team's strategy, it being items or skills that they use throughout the game. With these things called heroic tokens being placed on that Reichbusters HQ card. Raid. If you want to do a raid instead of following the story, the process is basically the same. Except instead of the map, the objective, and the faction card being written and shown for you in the mission book, in raids, you need to randomly select from the 3 raid decks to form your game. Now that we know how to set up each type of game, it's time to learn how to play it. Step 3. Heroes phase. So the gameplay of this game, you decide what you want to do, the character unpauses. The enemies are told by the game what to do, and they unpause and do it. Everything in the world is real time, but you are not. The best teams are the ones who can keep track of what skills, items, and abilities they have, and who can think of ways to chain each person's turns with the rest of the groups. 0.1. Now we have to figure out what order your team is going to make their move. When the round marker is in the grey, the order can be whatever best suits your team. However, when it is in the red, you have to randomly select the order and keep to it, given that in real life, the squad would be rushed by now. To keep track of this order, you can use the dog tags. 0.2. Also just before the hero phase, you will need to set out your character's action cards. 2 feat cards that are like your super abilities, and 2 more action cards that have 2 abilities on them. The one on the bottom is typically always a modifier that helps with dice tests and movement. It's important to keep note of these as you play, and look out for when you can use them to your advantage. Now that our hero is primed for action, it's time for you to find the perfect combination of basic and bonus actions, as well as hoping for favorable rolls on the dice tests. We'll start with the basic actions. 1.0. Move. A basic move action can only be used once per turn and allows your hero to move into an adjacent area. When moving around the map, be sure to look out for room features as they may be very useful, such as the secret passage cards. As soon as you can draw a line of sight on one of these cards, just flip it over and apply the effects. 2.0. Attack. A basic attack action can only be used once per turn and to one target that is in range of your weapon and in sight. You choose what weapon you want to use against that target. If you are in the same space as any enemy, you have to use the melee weapon or your fists. After a successful melee attack, you apply a wound. Most enemies have 1 wound and will require only 1 successful attack. However, the stronger enemies, you need multiple wounds to take them down. I will be talking about what determines a successful attack within the test section later on. 3.0. Search. The search action is all about collecting useful items. If your hero is in the same area that contains 1 or more items and no enemy units, then you may either choose to take a noise test for each item that you decide to reveal, then take one of those items that turn. Or you can just choose to take one item that is already face up. 4.0. Ready Equipment. Ready Equipment action involves getting rid of those unreliable / drain tokens from your weapon or item. All weapons and items that have these tokens don't work unless they are removed. For unreliable weapons, you can choose not to use this action to do so and instead sacrifice a special during your attack test to make the weapon work. However, for drained weapons, you have to use this action as well as a Vril orb item to get rid of the token. Drains usually occur during Vril tests, which I'll also cover in the test section. 5.0. Draw 2 cards. With this action, you can draw 2 more of those action cards mentioned before and from your deck and into your hand. 6.0. Unlock / open door. Now, as the name suggests on this next action, it allows you to unlock and open a door. To unlock and open doors, you will need to perform a noise test. If there is a lock on the door, this action will just get rid of the lock, and you or a teammate will have to use another unlock basic action to open it. 7.0. Recover. This basic action is used when a hero gains 4 or more permanent wound cards from enemy units and is considered down. If a hero is down during their combination, then their hero phase is over. Once their next hero phase starts again, then the hero uses the recover action twice in order to get rid of all but 2 wound cards so that they may come back into the game. Now, even without your basic actions, you may still use the bonus actions as part of your combination. Now, as just briefly mentioned there, a hero's combination can only have 2 basic actions each turn, but can use as many bonus actions that are possible, which I'll get into now. 1.0. Play cards. With this bonus action, you can play the cards within your hand and use their abilities to help you put together cool combinations. The typical layout of these cards are like so. 1.1. Effect type, of which there are 3. The basic free action, the instant action which needs to be triggered by something, whether it be in your phase or your enemy's phase. Then there are the modifier cards which can help you do a lot of stuff, such as make additional move actions so that you may move out of an area with an enemy, which is helpful because once you enter a room with an enemy, the enemy halts said movement action. The extra movement can help you get into a ranged attack that deals more damage, or helps you just complete more tasks. Modifiers can also help either you or a teammate's attack test. 1.2. Then there's the duration of that action. Discard after use, in use until forced to discard, remove from the game after use, lasts until the start of the next hero's turn, repeat until the action fails, and lasts until the start of this hero's turn. 1.3. Next is the amount of test dice you have to roll after you play that ability. Once there are no more cards left in the playable deck, simply shuffle the discard pile, then remove the top card completely from the game. 2.0. Use item. Another bonus action is the use of items, a list of which, as well as their effects, can be found on pages 25 and 26. 3.0. Give an item or drop an item. The final action one can do in their combination is give or drop an item. Heroes may give an item to another hero who is in the same area, and if that area has no enemies. Though a hero can drop an item face up to make room for another, wherever. Now, there are elements that may enhance or destroy the combination, which you need to have in mind. These are called tests and special abilities. When you are told to initiate a test, first you need to determine what test you're rolling for. It could be an attack, noise, vril, or defense test. For these, it's best just to show you how they work with an example from the book. Attack tests. Brick makes a basic attack on a zombie, defense 7, with one of his 2 Vickers machine guns. The player rolls 4 attack dice as indicated by the black dice and gets 1, 1, and 2 specials. His current attack total is 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. Because he chose to ready his unreliable weapon beforehand, he chooses both of his specials to benefit him. He decides to spend one of his 2 special results to activate the modifier that turns it into a 3 attack. He also decides to spend another special on a boost, which allows him to roll another black dice. With that black dice, he gets a new special that adds plus 2 to the total. Even if the current total is enough to kill the zombie, the player must spend the new special, so he decides to cause an item to be dropped from the enemy. 2.0. Noise tests. Whenever you see a white dice marked on something you use or interact with, you must roll that many white dice. Brick fires his Vickers machine gun and must take a noise test. You see, his target number is 0, because if he rolls anything more, he will be heard and will have to trigger the top effect of a randomly drawn noise card. If his total equals or exceeds the target number on the card, it will then trigger the secondary effect. If your mission tracker is in the grey, pull a grey card. If in the red, pull a red card. Vril tests. These are taken if using Vril weapons or items. It'll mainly be Vril upgraded weapons when you play as Team Vulture. These Vril dice must always be rolled. Now the aim of these tests is to use specials to cancel out surges or just avoid those surges altogether. If there are any left, this causes the Vril item or weapon to backfire dramatically. The hero draws a permanent wound card and the item or weapon is drained as mentioned before. The total of radiation left gets added to the partnered test. 4. Defense tests. Defense tests only happen during the enemy phase and work like so. If an enemy unit attacks a hero, they will roll 2 defense dice. If the test result equals or is greater than the target number, then the defense was successful. If the result was lower, then the hero draws a wound card and applies its effects. Your defense can have a higher chance of succeeding if you remember to use modifier cards and an item that gives you better defense, or if you have a special keyword, which I'll get into now. There are many special keywords that you need to keep track of. The skill special keywords and your weapons special keywords. The effects for both can be found on pages 27 and 31. It's best to keep those pages easily accessible, either on a PDF or on hand. A perfect example of a combination of these actions, abilities, and roles all put together could be like so. Pulling off the perfect combinations complete with great test results is quite simply the best feeling to have in the game. If you have a good enough combination and are able to clear out an entire room or corridor of 4 or more units without the use of any heroic points, then you can gain a random heroic point to your dashboard. These heroic points come in 3 types and can be used in 3 ways. The types are attack points, which can only be used for attack tests, defense points, which can only be used for defense tests, and wild points, which can be used for either attack or defense tests. The 3 ways you can use these are like so. Either you spend 1 point before a test to automatically succeed a test of that heroic points type, you spend 2 points to change a failed test to a successful one, or you can spend points on purchasing additional skills. Attack heroic points can be used to purchase attack skills, defense points can be used to purchase defense skills, and wild points can be used to purchase any non-Vril skill. A new skill costs a number of heroic points equal to the number of skills of that type the hero will now have. No hero may have more than 4 skills at a time. If a 5th skill is bought, 1 skill must be discarded to make room. For example, Quentin wishes to purchase Quick Shot. It would cost him 1 attack point if this is his first attack skill. If he wished to purchase Sneaky, it would cost him 2 wild points, as he already has a noise skill which is stealthy. Now this concludes the heroes phase and how to handle it. Now it's time for the enemy to pause the game and decide their course of action. Step 4, enemy phase. Now the enemies phase is a lot more binary than the heroes phase, and all you need to do is remember to check these 4 things in order. How are they spawning? What are the unit's stats and abilities? What's their awareness? Then play through their action steps. Spawning. The enemies may spawn in 3 different ways. Line of sight spawning. This happens when a hero can draw a line of sight to a spawn token. When a spawn is triggered, draw a spawn card. Locate the spawn level on the spawn card and cross-reference the unit code on the card against the current mission's faction card, which you pulled at the beginning of the game. Place the appropriate miniatures on the map, then discard the spawn card, token, or room feature. Pre-alarm patrol spawning. This happens when you roll a noise test result that isn't a 0 while the mission tracker is in the grey. When you pull a noise card, there may be a patrol that is meant to spawn if you exceed the noise limit. These patrols must enter through a closed, no exit door. The door must be the closest to the hero whose turn it is, or most recently was. Patrols cannot enter from a room or a corridor that has already been cleared by the heroes. Moreover, if there is a hero on both sides of the door, patrols cannot use that door. Now, if a patrol spawns in line of sight of a hero, it is spawned immediately. Otherwise, the appropriate spawn tokens are placed on the map to represent it. The patrol appears or spawns with the level of awareness indicated by the card. 3. Post-alarm patrol spawning. Post-alarm spawns are a little bit different in that they always spawn as figures, no matter if they are in line of sight of the heroes or not. And the units always spawn at the areas indicated on the card and have to make their way to the heroes. Stats and abilities. After spawning, it's important to read through your faction card and unit cards to make sure you are familiar with your enemy's stats and abilities, and make sure you're applying them correctly. Awareness. After you've spawned the units and have become familiar with their abilities, you've got to check their awareness levels and how it works. Scenario 1. If no hero is in line of sight of an enemy, they are at ease with no awareness tokens beside them. Scenario 2. If an enemy unit sees a hero, the entire room or corridor's awareness raises 1 level. Scenario 3. When heroes are still in line of sight after the enemy completes their action steps, raise the awareness by 1 level. Scenario 4. If an enemy unit enters a room or corridor with a different level of awareness, the room or corridor's awareness level is raised to the higher level. Scenario 5. If you are in the post-alarm stage, all enemy units become the highest level of awareness, and all spawn tokens on the map are triggered. Remove all awareness tokens. Action steps. Once all the jargon is accounted for, the enemies begin their action steps. Step 1. Raise the alarm. If any enemy units are the highest level of awareness at the start of a pre-alarm raise the alarm step, advance the mission tracker by 1 round. After the alarm is triggered, enemy units ignore the raise the alarm step. However, some of the hero's action cards and items may continue to take effect in this phase. Step 2. Action stations. Enemy units with the highest awareness level move 1 area per turn towards the nearest hero. If the active enemy unit starts in the same area as a hero, then it remains where it is. If an enemy unit needs to move through a locked door, then they will unlock it instead of moving. If an enemy unit needs to move through an unlocked closed door, then they will open it instead of moving. This may result in breaking up groups of the same type of enemy, as one unlocks the door, the second opens it, and the others move through. It's just like how the heroes would do it. The melee units will continue moving until they are in the same area as a hero. Ranged units will continue moving until they are in range and have line of sight to a non-downed hero. However, note that if a ranged unit is in an area with a downed hero, they can still capture them. Capturing is when a hero is isolated and overrun with enemies. If a hero is down, there are no other heroes in that area, and if there are 4 or more enemies in that area, a hero is now captured. A captured hero cannot take any actions on their turn. They also count as a guard point. All enemy units gain the guard keyword while in the same area as a recently captured hero. This simply means that they will remain in that area for the rest of the game. Now, the captured hero can be rescued by their teammates if the 3 conditions just listed are no longer all true at the start of any of the captured hero's subsequent turns, and they may take their turn as normal once they've been freed. Now, certain enemy units already have the guard keyword. During the action station phase, if any guard units enter an area that has a guard point token, and that area has fewer than 5 guards in total, the units will remain in this area and no longer move. Step 3. Kill the intruders. Enemy units with the highest awareness level will attack the nearest hero whenever they can. If 2 heroes are of equal distance, the enemy will attack the hero who had most recently taken a turn this round. If none of the potential target heroes have taken their turn this round, then the players choose who the enemy units attack. If more than 1 enemy unit of the same type attacks the same hero in the same way, melee or ranged, then combine all the attacks into a single defense test. Nominate 1 unit as the main attacker and use their attack value. Add the support value of each additional attacker of that type. This total becomes the target number for the hero's defense test. If the test fails, deduct the defense result from the attack number. This is the damage that your hero takes. Draw a wound card and apply the top effect immediately. If the damage is equal to or greater than the wound target number, this is when the wound becomes permanent. The permanent effect remains active until the wound is healed. Here's an example of this step. 3 zombies are in the same area as Quentin. In the enemy turn, they make a combined melee attack against him. On the current mission's faction card, zombies have an attack of 5 and a support value of 3. So Quentin has a target number of 5 plus 3 plus 3, which is 11, for his defense test. Step 4. Check awareness. The final step of the enemy phase is this. When 1 or more heroes are in line of sight of at least 1 enemy unit in a room or corridor, raise the awareness 1 level in that room and or corridor. Now, only apply this once per room per enemy turn, regardless of the number of enemy units and heroes involved. An example of this step in action. Although the enemy in room A has 3 heroes in his line of sight, the awareness level of his corridor is raised by 1 only. Although the 2 enemies in room B have 2 heroes in their line of sight, the awareness level of their room is raised by only 1 as well. Now that both phases of your hero's turn are accounted for, time to move on to the next person in order so that they may have their turn. This keeps on going until the round is over. Step 5. End of round phase. Once all heroes have had a combination, and if the enemy has had a chance to react after each hero, there is an end of round phase. Step 1. Any player with fewer than 5 action cards draws 1 card from their deck. Step 2. Check the board for any tokens that need to be removed. For example, remove any awareness tokens not in a room or corridor containing any enemy unit. Step 3. Advance the mission tracker by 1. If this reaches the end of the post-alarm section, the mission is failed. Step 4. Collect the turn order tokens ready for the next round. Step 6. End of game. Now, these rounds keep on going until the heroes escape, run out of time, or all the heroes have been captured. A hero cannot use an exit to escape without an objective item. The mission objective that you chose at the start will detail how objective items are gained. As soon as the first hero exits the map, the game ends. All remaining non-captured heroes check to see if they can exit also. Simply trace a path from the hero to an exit, as if they had infinite movement. If they can reach an exit without moving into an area that contains an enemy unit, then they escape as well. If their escape route is blocked, they are captured. Once the game is ended, the players check to see if they were victorious or not. This chart here would indicate just that. If you're a perfectionist, you're always trying to get the heroic victory. And with that, that's how you get into the game of Reichbusters. Now, there is a lot of stuff to remember, and this is just the base game. There's bound to be a bunch of different game elements within the expansions. If you've just picked it up or are thinking about buying it, I would definitely recommend downloading the PDF linked in the description so that you can easily find the keywords that you're looking for and their effects. Because constantly flipping through the book will get annoying after a while. A lot of the skill and fun of this game comes from your memory and your knowledge of the characters. Definitely not a casual pick up and play sort of game. You have to be aware of the setup and all the little details. Hopefully this video was able to bring a sense of structure and a method that you can follow, which will help you get the most proper and satisfying gameplay from it. If not, you can come join our streams of the game as we work through the campaign and ask us any questions or fix our understandings there. Now, we want to make more helpful guides such as these for other games and hobbies that some of you have suggested. If you have a game or hobby that you'd like to see us cover in this format, be sure to leave us a comment or perhaps add us in our Discord server with a suggestion. Thank you very much for watching, subscribing, and supporting this channel. Catch you later.